for the Blood God, skulls for the throne of Khorne. See in these words a purity of simplicity, no devious tricks, no indulgent excess, no ponderous rot, only rage, blood, skulls, death. What kind of warrior seeks anything else? One who is distracted, weak.
I've been painting Khorne Berzerkers for my World Eater's army for quite some time now, and I figured I've pretty much refined the process, so I would show all you how I do it. Now, Khorne Berzerkers. They're space marines that fell to the ruinous powers of the god of blood and brass, Khorne. They're the embodiment of rage and have an endless thirst for battle, so it's super fitting that they're a nice blood red. I left the head and the backpack off the model to make it a little easier to paint. We're going to start with a nice black prime. This is because we're going to be doing some slap chop. After you prime the model, we'll take a light gray. I'll be using gray Seer, but you can pretty much use any light gray or white you want. Now you're going to dry brush with this light gray. You can do it pretty sloppily, but just try to focus on the raised edges. It should look something like this when you're done. Now you're going to take Army Painter Blood Red Contrast Paint, and you're going to carefully do all the armor plates. For this step, it's important that you don't get the red contrast paint on areas you'd plan on using different colors of contrast paint on. If any of the areas on the armor are too light for you, you can always go back and put more contrast paint on them to darken them. Now the red is complete, so now we can move on to the small details like the leather, gloves, and straps. For the straps, I use Hardened Leather. I then apply this to the belt. And for this model, the gloves. Now for the straps on the chest, break out your black paint. And you have the black out, so you might as well touch up the base because it's probably a mess after doing all the dry brushing and contrast painting. Now, if you have any leftover black, you can also paint all the parts of the armor that are going to be metallic. You don't have to do this, but it makes it a little easier to put the metallic paint on, but it does take a lot more time. Now, at this point, I like to check to see if my guy has any grenades, because if he does, I use Camo Cloak contrast paint to paint them an army green. Now, we're using green, so we might as well bust out Mantis Warrior Green and use it on his eyes to give him that green glow. With a quick edge highlight of Eshin Grey on the black parts, we can hit the model with a matte finish to remove all the glossiness of the armor and move on to adding the brass and steel. For the brass, I don't actually own any brass metallics, so instead I use Retributor Armour. Now I do all the trims, spikes, and other symbols on the armor, and then I move on to the steel. For the steel, I use Leadbelcher to do the guns, its barrel, chainsword teeth, the chainmail, and lastly, the vents on the backpack. At some point, I did glue the model together and put the head and the backpack on. For the Retributor armor, we're going to cover it heavily in Agrax Earthshade to transform it into a brassy look. And for the Leadbelcher, we're going to use the trusty old Nuln Oil to darken some of the recesses. After everything is dried, your model is complete. Thank you for watching. Here's a single beauty shot of my model head on. I left a list of paints in the description so you won't have to skip through the video to find all of them. If you made it this far in the video, thank you again. And please comment that you really wish Dehalov would post more videos. Also, here's a scrolling text of something Editor Me found to make it look like I had patrons or something, also to extend the video. Bye!